Hey, yo, hey, yo, hey, yo. Everybody, welcome to Brand&Athlete. We have a very special show. But first, I have to talk to our guest.
Hey, yo, hey, yo,
Jack,
hey,
Jack,
yo,
Jack,
everybody.
Jack. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Jack Patterson, how are you doing?
I'm doing well, Jay. Thanks. I appreciate being a guest today. Excited to talk track as well.
Yeah, he's technically a guest host. Keith is on the road on a crazy schedule. So we're going to talk a lot about his background and pedigree in a second. But also we have 11-time Texas state champion, dual sport, Texas commit, Bayleigh Minor. Bayleigh, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
I'm really excited. You guys got to meet each other for the first time. What was that like, Jack, meeting Bayleigh? And then Bayleigh, we're going to talk about this guy's one of like the pioneers in this business in the digital space. What was that like for both of you?
Well, first, that's just code for saying I'm old, but I can get over that. But no, I've been in the business a bit. I've done a lot of fun things in sports, but admittedly, some people that know me well know that I'm a bit of a track nerd. So for me, to be around this kind of talent is awesome, and I can't wait to watch the future career. Admittedly, I'm a lifelong Oklahoma fan, so on this day, I will support a Texas sprinter or a Texas runner, I should say, to do great things. But no, I'm super excited to be here. Love talking track, and obviously want to help you in any way I can. And certainly for everyone that's on the stream, we're going to have some good conversation today. So hopefully, if you can pull some information out of that to help you, even better.
Yes.
Love it.
Thank you. I'm honored to be here again with Jay and Jack. I'm glad to have Jack's experience and knowledge and Jay to help me with Brand&Athlete.
Yeah, it's really exciting. Before we dive in, first of all, Brand&Athlete, we started this because I've been doing this a long time and just kept getting some of the same questions about how to build a brand, how do you monetize it? And so instead of just texting and getting on phone calls, I said, man, this is a podcast. Maybe we can help people. And so here we are today, and we're going to do a live coaching session. It's going to be myself and Jack helping Bayleigh take her brand to the next level. She doesn't need our coaching because she has a top end coach, clearly. You know what I mean? So I'm really excited for you guys. Okay, before we dive in, have to ask you, and then I have to ask the chat something. What is one thing that you guys both were looking forward to before coming into the show?
For me?
Yeah, you go ahead. You're more important. Go ahead.
Definitely gaining experience from both of y'all.
That's a great one. I think for me, I don't, there's times that there's simple things. I think sometimes we can make things a little bit more complicated than it needs to be. And I think sometimes you just need some visuals of how to make things, easier in building your own brand. And I think the beauty is this is a huge opportunity for young athletes, what they're doing based on NIL and otherwise. So there's ways to think about this from kind of a marketing perspective, a branding perspective, eventually, hopefully, a revenue perspective. So it's all good things.
Yeah, and then we have to talk about the chat. First of all, welcome chat. Welcome chat. Welcome chat. I love you guys. You guys make this whole thing go around. The chat is where it's at. And so we have Bayleigh, and she is a two-sport athlete. She's electing to run track, to run track. But I have to ask this, guys, for the chat, who is the top dual sport athlete, male or female, in your opinion? We're going to read some of the comments. Let us know. And then Jack and Bayleigh, you guys think about it too, because I'm going to come to you guys as well. All right.
Sounds good. I like it.
All right. So today's conversation, man, we have to really thank our sponsor, Influxer. Influxer helps student athletes by creating merch and items that are branded. For example, if it was Jay Hicks, it could be shirt. They have things that they produce with the athlete's name on it. The athlete promotes it. They get a share of the revenue. And that is the NIL part of name, image, and likeness. So it really is set up. They do a lot of the back end fulfillment, handling everything, vendors, sending it out. So I want to say for all of you young athletes, if you're in high school, not really ready for you yet, but it's something that you guys can learn how to do, which is how to pitch your own product and how to make revenue off of your name. So thank you, Influxer, for this conversation. We really appreciate your support in making this happen. So to that end, Jack, Bayleigh is our first high school athlete we've ever had.
Well, we're starting at the top. I mean, this is a fantastic athlete. Two sports star. So, like I said, to be a track superstar, even better. It is the most underrated sport out there. I'm excited to have a conversation today for sure, and just a lot to talk about, which is good.
Yeah. And so we have to talk about this as well. Jack Patterson, just one of the foremost authorities, a long career working with some of the biggest names, worked at Learfield IMG College, vice president of social, and today works with some of the biggest brands and athletes. And so I'm going to let you for a second talk about yourself, because I see you as one of the people who understand how to make content. And check this out, Bayleigh. He knows how to make money.
Yeah, I probably obsess on that too much. Like, branded content for me and sponsored content are things that I consider myself an expert on, just because I've done it so many times. But I've had a fun career kind of journey, and started at Disney World, which was my first job, and they had a kind of a sports business there. I worked at a big sports agency. I worked at an NFL team, and then I worked, a bunch of other places. But sponsorship was always at the heart of what I do. And then in my last role with Clearfield, I led a team of about 40 people, and we were over kind of digital and social, and had an in-house agency, and just thought about a lot of things, about ideas and execution. And I think what's beautiful about right now is that athletes have an opportunity to create their own brand. And it's not just kind of what happens around them, they are participating in it. And so what's cool, there's a lot of people out there that are working on their brand, the things that they're doing. Sometimes you just need a little bit of guidance and a little bit of help to make that better. The beautiful part about our guest today is there's some insane times that are going up in the track, and things like that, which sometimes that just always helps your brand. As I said to Jay earlier, no one's ever been mad about someone winning too much. So luckily we have someone here on the program today who wins a lot. And so that always helps from a brand building perspective.
I love that. Welcome, Jack. And if you're in the chat, shout out to the chat. Guys, just let me know you're alive. Are you there? We can't hear you. Can you guys drop a fire emoji to let me know that you guys are here? And before we get started even further too, can you guys do us a huge favor? It's something for Bayleigh, it's something for Brand&Athlete. Bayleigh, where can people find you? Because the way that people can help you right now is to follow you on your platforms and engage. It doesn't cost a thing. So I personally am not trying to hear any excuses. So where can people find you?
Mainly on Instagram. My sports page is Bayleigh_sports, and my personal page is Bayleigh Minor. And on Twitter, my page is Bayleigh Minor.
Okay. And then do you have a TikTok? I know you may not be posting. Do you have one right now?
Yes, I don't know what the username is, though.
Hey,
that's the most honest thing that's been said all day.
This is why I like Bayleigh. Bayleigh, first of all, love that honest answer. And two, we're gonna figure that it's gonna be one of our goals in 30 days. So
gotcha.
I love it. So guys who are here, first of all, man, the chat is showing up and showing out, guys. If you can't see it, man, we have a lot of people dropping a lot of fire emojis. Shout out to you guys for showing up for Bayleigh. And one of the things we're going to do, guys, we're going to have a fun show. We're going to talk about Bayleigh's story, her background. We're going to talk some track, and then we're going to get down to business and talk about building her brand, monetizing it. And then Jack and I are going to coach Bayleigh up in real time. This is live, y'all. This is live. This is like track. This is why she's ready. This isn't basketball where you could call a timeout and run a new play. And she's going to walk away with 0 to 30-day goals, 30 to 60, and 60 to 90. Bayleigh, are you ready?
Yes.
All right, I'm gonna let Jack kick it off. Jack, just let's talk a little track. I, of course, I have to get in here and talk about I Show Speed in a little bit, but I want you to kick it off. You're a big track guy, a big fan. Yeah. Kick us off.
Well, I think it's important for everyone on the track to understand, what you're training for this week and kind of your background. So certainly your event and what's going on. The reason I bring it up, it is a big deal what's going on this weekend. So first, why don't you talk about kind of, what is your background and obviously the events that you run, and then what's going on this weekend. I think those are timely discussions.
I've been running track for, I don't know, since I was 9. So like 9 years. I mostly run the 400, but I can run like 2 or 8, go up or down. And this weekend is New Balance Indoor Nationals in Boston, and I will be running the 400 there.
And basically that's
dope.
effectively all the best high school athletes for the most part, right? And
Yes.
it's a big one. It's a huge one. And so for those that, if you're not a huge track fan and you're on this is indoor. There's obviously an indoor season and an outdoor season, but this is the best of the best, which is again even more reason why I'm excited to be here today, because this is truly one of the very best.
Thank you.
And Bayleigh, I have to ask you, you're leaving out this week. I know you're leaving I think Thursday morning. You grew up in the sport, legendary family. What does this mean? I know you're not building up maybe running in it, but what does it mean? Because you know all these things. Like, this is all secondhand. What does it mean to get that invite?
It was really like cool getting an invite, because in Texas we don't really run that many indoor meets like most of the time. I'm pretty sure they're still running indoors up there, and we're already like probably halfway through our outdoor season down in Texas. So it's pretty cool, like getting recognized from like the north and being like, oh, you should come run here, like at an indoor meet, when I mostly do outdoor.
Now, I do have a question about that for those that might be watching today that are not track people. There's plenty of track people, I'm sure, but explain the difference for you between indoor and outdoor. Obviously, we understand the facilities are different, but from a running perspective, how is it different for you?
To me, it's not different. Like, sometimes my teammates, they'll be like, oh yeah, indoors faster, like outdoors faster. I don't really think there's that big of a difference to me. Like, obviously, like, you just have to run more laps indoor, but besides that, I'm fine with whatever.
Well, it's been a good year for indoor track. For those that don't follow, a lot of records going on this year on the pro level and otherwise. So let's hope that continues this weekend.
Hey, gotta ask you guys this, and don't give away any race strategy, Bayleigh, because I don't want any angry text messages from one Coach Minor. But talk about getting to the break, and the reason why I want to talk about that, we don't have to get into the weeds, but people don't know track, don't understand how big, if you run the 400 or even the 800, how important is it to get into the break?
It's pretty important, because like indoor, it's like a small track, and like even in outdoor, like during the 800, you don't want to get boxed in, because if you get boxed in, like the only way is like back and then around. So you're basically stuck unless you like unless the people in front of you somehow maneuver. So getting to the break, like, it's an important part of the race, and like could make or break your race.
Good, Jay. I know you have a follow-up. Keep going.
Well, go ahead, Jack. Go ahead.
No, I think for me, generally speaking, let's say in what you've done earlier in the year, we won't talk about what's going to happen this weekend, but generally speaking, when you get to the break, are you wanting to be in the lead for the most part in that scenario?
Yes.
Sounds good. Just wanted to verify.
Now, this is one of the few times, and I'm not flexing on anybody, because I have to be careful, because I see who's in the chat, and we have some real ones. We got some world champions, world record holders, and national champions. So don't come for me. But this is like in my studio. Jack actually asked this, and this is a great thing about live stream. It's back here. I don't know if you guys can see it, but I actually have one of my spikes from Baylor, and I love what you're saying though. And I'll grab it in a second so you guys can see it. But I love it because I ran the 800 primarily, and I love getting to that break because, like you said, it really puts you in a great position. And it's so tough to get caught and boxed in. And then you're like for me, it's like you have to stay calm with the 800 if it's like a 200 meter, track, to like not press or not do too much, but then like not let the race get away from you. So I think your mindset and your calmness really seems like it plays well for you indoors. Is that the case?
I would say so, yeah. Like any race I do, it's like you can't really over stress it, because it's like you're in it for like less than a minute. So it's like it's either perfect or not. And like if it's not perfect, you obviously can't go back and fix it. So you just gotta look at your mistakes and then hopefully in the next one fix it.
I think that's what's so funny about track in general is, the races are 40 something seconds, depending on how you're doing, is that there's so much that goes into it and so much practice and so much planning. And even the day of the meet, what is your day like, say this weekend, what goes on in the morning for you and what goes on prior to the race? That's cool insight for me as someone who's a track nerd, but I'm sure there's some other people that might find that interesting.
Normally, well, I don't know how this meet is gonna go because it depends. Sometimes it's like a night meet, like after
Yeah.
school, we'll go to
Yeah.
school for a little bit and then end up going to the meet. Or like since this meet it will be all the way in Boston, like and we're on spring break, I obviously won't be at school, be in a hotel. I'm not sure what time I run, so
Right.
normally I try it bases off like what time I run. If I run in the morning, I'll probably just eat oatmeal and then go out and run and then like eat snacks. I don't really eat that much lunch if I ran prior because I normally have to run afterwards too. And then if I run in the afternoon or like nighttime, I'll just eat breakfast, eat a light lunch, and then go run.
Okay.
Makes
I love
sense.
that. I love that. And I gotta give some love to the chat. Guys, the chat, if you guys have followed, remember before we asked you if you're just joining now to go follow Bayleigh. Also, make sure, guys, we need to get the likes up on this stream. We need the likes up. So hit likes. And that way, we're telling the algorithm, we're telling YouTube we're rocking with Bayleigh. And then they'll show this content to more people. So do that for me. But then remember, we asked you to follow Bayleigh. Bayleigh, what are your handles again?
Instagram, Bayleigh_sports, and my personal Instagram and Twitter is Bayleigh Minor.
Okay, so if you've done that already, go find the running emoji, drop that in the chat, and then I want you to say all in, and then the running emoji, all in. And that what that means, you're all in to support Bayleigh because we need you guys rocking. You guys are her people. So, Jackie, you all in?
I was already a follower. Let's be clear. I don't need to send the running emoji, but I'm going to be able to watch her this weekend and all the cool things she has going on, and look forward to all the great content that's going to come from Boston, which is cool.
All right, got to ask you both about this. You guys know I love the gossip of track and field. If you don't know that, then you don't know me. So, got to talk about first of all a race that happened last year, but it's still a big one. I Show Speed ran against our Noah Lyles. All right, I think it was a 40. Now we know who won, but I Show or Speed as he's called Bayleigh. He says he didn't have time to stretch. He drove for 3 hours. If Speed trained for 3 months and they moved it to 50 meters, does Speed have a chance in your opinion?
I have no clue. I'm not going to be honest. I did not see the race. I didn't even know that was a thing. I don't really keep that much up with like celebrities' personal lives. So I don't know who won the race. Who did win the race?
Jack Teller.
I mean, so first, let's go back. I do follow all of that. So I am a sucker for all of that. But like, Noah likes a little bit of the drama, right? So I think that's the beauty of Noah's. The race was filmed in a cool way that people are intrigued by. Noah certainly wins, but it was very close, closer than I think most people would imagine. I think it would be the best way to say it. But I think, Jay, as you know, with your track background, I'm surrounded by people that are really good at track, and there's no track in this body, like none, zero. But for Noah, like whether it's the Tyreek Hill race that's going to happen at some point, the shorter the distance, the better someone has a chance against him. When you start stretching it out to 100, I think you're going to get in full stride, and you have a tough time keeping up. So if it's 40 or 50, I think he has a chance, whether it's Tyreek Hill or I Show Speed. But it was good drama. You gotta get in on the drama a little bit. It's good.
Yeah. So of course, everybody who may or may not know, I Show Speed, he is literally, I think he won the award. So they have streaming awards, just like the Grammys and the Emmys, and he won the most famous, like the #1 streamer in the world. So this guy he has more followers than KD. They had KD on a podcast, and Speed has an Instagram, and he doesn't even have a profile picture. He doesn't post, and he has 18 million followers, or I think it's up to 24 now. And KD was like, "Wait, what? You have how many?" That's how big Speed is. But all right, so we got to ask you about this though, Bayleigh. Give us your take as an 11-time Texas State champion. Who wins coming up? Tyreek and Noah Lyles. Who wins that runoff?
I would have to agree with Jack. Like it depends how far the distance is, because we know Noah has like a really fast top end speed and it takes him, but it's not like he doesn't get it in like the first 20 meters. So I feel like it depends how long. If it's a 100, definitely Noah. If it's a 40, maybe Tyreek. I don't know.
I think most in the track world hope that Noah wins no matter what. Make no mistake. Those narratives don't need to be out there, but no, it'll be fun to watch. And I appreciate what Noah's doing and trying to bring in kind of casual fans into, track world, which is good.
Yeah, I love that. And if you guys didn't see it, we had a great get to know with Bayleigh. After this, we're going to do a salacious plug for that conversation. You have to go check it out. And we talked a lot about her life off of track, a lot about track, a lot about her and her interests. So go check that out. But I have to ask you this, Bayleigh. You come from, we talked about this in the other interview. You come from a track family, a lot of legacy. Both your parents are NCAA champions. Both of them, went to the Olympic trials, world record holders. Just a crazy, crazy resume. We're not going to do that because it's about you today. That said, I was talking to Jack and I was talking about MJ. And then, we were talking to, like, at our age, MJ means Michael Jordan. But in the track world, it's Michael Johnson. Obviously, I went to Baylor, ran track with you. Your dad was there. Your mom was at Rice.
Mm-hmm.
Talk to us about, have you ever met Michael Johnson? I mean, did you meet him? What is your thought as someone who's like in the track kind of royalty?
I did meet him. I think my family and I think we were in Waco. My family and his family, we went to Cracker Barrel, and this was when I was pretty young. I was not into track at the time, so I just knew him was like my dad's friend, and like. So
wait, can we pause for a second? Once I get back to your story. Wait, what? So when you met Mike, you were like, this is just like my pop's friend?
Yeah, I knew he was like good at track, but like I
Good.
wasn't into track or anything at the time. Like, I'm pretty sure this is when I was just playing soccer, and my parents, like, I knew they were good at track, but like they didn't really talk about it that much either. So whenever I met him, it was just like one of my dad's friends. That's how I knew him.
But I'm still, it's awesome just because I think that's actually in a cool way. Like, you just knew it was one of your dad's friends. And it was like, I think you could probably just take him in for what he was and get to know him. But then, like, later at some point, you watch some races, you found out, like, for me, when I talk about some of like my most visceral memories of the Olympics, Michael Johnson's involved in a major way. And so they're huge memories for me. But do you kind of remember when you first started watching his races or learning more about how great he truly was?
I don't remember when. Like, my dad would just bring him up like here and there, and then like I
Yeah.
probably did look him up and be like Michael Johnson. I'll be like, oh, like the
Yeah.
400-meter like world record holder and all this stuff.
That's
And
wild.
so
That's wild.
I'm pretty sure like my dad, he like has one of the MJ spikes, like the black and gold, and so he like has it propped up in our exercise room. So I probably asked him about that when I was younger.
Wait,
And
what? Are you
then
talking about when the goal was, Bayleigh?
the black and gold, like the striped ones. Yeah.
That was like the biggest deal ever, for the record. Like, when those spikes came out, everyone was just like, that's different. Like, it was amazing.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then talk about, is this all full circle? Because when I was, and I was telling Jack this, when we were in school, what would happen is everybody would get together. It's a little bit different, the track today. Everybody had to be there at 3:00. By 3:10, we were stretching as a group, kind of like high school track. But now people just kind of, many programs just kind of fill in depending on what, like some groups go at 1, some goes at 2, some go at 4, whatever. Well, Michael was training, was already finished then, and he was always talking about business. I mean, he was the first guy I ever knew who had his taxes. This is in the early 90s, his taxes on a laptop. Now, to Bayleigh, I know you don't think that's a big deal, but he was always about business and marketing and fighting with the IAAF on prize money. And I bring that up because today we're now full circle. He's launched a Grand Slam track lead, a new pro circuit that'll have 4 major races. The first one coming up in Jamaica, which is exciting, on April 4th through 6th. Shout out to Michael, shout out to Baylor, and shout out to you, Bayleigh. What does it look like now that you could run in this league from a guy that you ate at the Cracker Barrel with many years ago?
That would be like very cool and like an honor, just knowing like how that girl didn't even know of track that much besides like the Olympics or like world championships, and then like looking forward, like being like, oh wow, I'm here running here. Like imagine like, I don't know how old I was, maybe like 6-year-old Bayleigh being like telling her that I was running at his meet. She would probably be like, you're running track?
Well, Jay, we just have to clip this exact moment because we have captured her emotion at this point. And then when and if she gets the Grand Slam, that'll be the moment we have to, push this back out there in her socials. So it'll be fun.
Yeah, this will be like I just saw a video the other day, Mr. Beast, the world's greatest YouTuber, and I watched his year one, to Jack's point, and it was where I want to be in 5 years. So this is your year one. I mean, like really, really going to that next level. Got to ask you guys this again. Like we said, Grand Slam track. You can watch it on the CW and NBC Sports if you're a track fan. So make sure you guys pull up. And I have to ask you guys this. We're talking about MJ. And we know this is like the barbershop, the chat. I need you guys to pull up. Who is the greatest 400-meter runner of all time? Is it MJ, or how do you say his name for us? The current 400-meter world record holder. Who is the greatest in your opinion? Chat, pull up. Let us know. All right. So guys, got to talk about this. Haley said from the chat, this is a Jack question. He said that Haley says Cracker Barrel NIL sponsorship.
I mean, this is storytelling without even trying. We did not set this up. I have this in my mind as Cracker Barrel has a unique opportunity here. So yes, great comment there. Saw that in the chat. I was thinking someone is thinking. So Haley, love the thought.
All right, so talk about this too. We talk a lot about winning, and we talked a little bit the other day. When we go to college, we know, like, I felt like the biggest thing that makes a difference between high school and college is like the thing between your ears, right? It's mindset, right? And so talk to us about that. A lot of people in high school, and you've won a lot. I mean, not just races. 11-time Texas state champion. As you go into this season, talk to us about your mindset and your mentality. Like, what is it? Like, what are you thinking? You've got these championships. Are you looking at building? Are you focused just more on like this year as an individual solo season?
Kind of both, because we are like we've won state championships, like the team together 3 times. Like I've only gotten the 11 and like just individuals and relays. So from the state track meet. So I feel like it would be both. And my mindset going in, it's not really like anything too big. It's more like, okay, this is your last hurrah in like high school. So like make it the best you can. Like I'm not focusing too much on college right now. I'm like just trying to be the best I can right now, because that's all I can do. I'll let the future worry about itself.
And I guess I have a question about that. Like when you look at kind of your training and kind of where you are, what are your favorite parts of practice? What are the parts that drive you crazy at practice? Like whether you're training for a big event like this weekend or not, what are things that drive you crazy at practice? That's always a good place to start.
Probably like the actual workout. It's very hard and tiring, which is kind of funny to say, like as a track athlete who has to run every day, but the workout is probably the worst part. And like the fun part, it's always like just being with the team, like our warm up or like cool down. Those are always fun. Like we're talking about our days or like what we're gonna do later.
I think one thing that I think Gabby's done a great job of talking about, and again, she's more of a 200 runner for the most part, and obviously does some other stuff, but she talks about there's an assumption that people, that run those shorter type races enjoy running a mile or 2 miles. And she's like, no, 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 kind of thing. So when's the last time you were running like a distance? And does that drive you crazy? Or, does it bother you that much, or is it something you're comfortable with?
I'm okay with the mile, because like normally every Sunday or like every other Sunday, our neighborhood's like a circle and it's like 0.94 maybe. And so my dad makes me run it. And I did cross country, but it's only like 2 miles for the girls. So I did 2 miles during the fall. So it's not that bad, but I probably wouldn't do over a 5K.
I like it. Well said.
I love that. And just a quick update: the chat is running. I mean, everybody's running with MJ, man. It's like it's crazy. So for you guys, who do you guys feel like individually? Bayleigh first, Jack after that is the greatest 400-meter men's runner of all time.
Probably MJ, just like him doubling like 4 and 2, and then the next year doing the 4 again. Like, I feel like that's enough said. And then he held the record for so long.
And for those that aren't track people that are listening, like that double is pretty insane. Like, and it's against the best. It's not like it was some random event in some small town. Like, this is the best. So yes, for me, certainly that I'm not. I wish I was young and haven't seen all these people run. But for me, Michael is just super super important. And I live in Texas as well, and obviously he's made an impact here, but. I wasn't living in Texas when I saw him absolutely destroy that track. So it's awesome to see him.
Yeah. And then back to the chat, DeAndre said, that's right. One day at a time, sweet girl. All right. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to the chat. They're showing you love for your mindset, for your mentality. Have to ask you this about yourself too. We talk a lot about you being a two-sport star, but talk about your friends in your life. I know from talking to you, you have a lot of friends. Describe your crew. Who are some of your friends? You don't have to drop names if you don't feel comfortable. And like, what are some things that y'all do? I mean, what do 11-time state champions do in their free time?
Basically the same thing that like somebody who probably doesn't even play sports do. Like sometimes go to the movies, mostly just like go to each other's houses. We used to go to the mall a lot, but not anymore. Got kind of boring because it's like the same mall. And so basically the movies and just going to eat also, hanging out at each other's houses. Those are what we mainly do.
That's a fair follow-up. So even from eating, excuse me, Jay, like
go ahead,
you
Jack.
now again, maybe some of your friends are running track and doing other sports and things like that, but as you get closer to meets, do your eating habits change a lot? Obviously you talked about on race day you'll eat oatmeal and things like that, but are you keeping an eye on what you eat more than most of your friends, or are you about it kind of depends?
Kind of like sometimes I will, sometimes I won't, but most of the time, like when I go out, I like getting a Caesar salad. So normally we'll get that. I've gotten that with my friends a lot, and they're like, "Really, a salad?" I'm like, "Yeah."
Right.
But besides that, it depends where we go to eat. Like I'll try and find like a pasta or like jambalaya, salads, sandwiches. And if we go to BJ's, I love a Pizookie. I haven't had that in a while, though.
I love that.
Shout out BJ's. Well, let's talk to them too.
Jack's like, this guy.
That's right. I'll write this down.
He's writing it down. He's writing it down. No, I love that. And then, who are some of your friends? Do y'all have any famous people? Because here's the thing I'm telling you. I went to the Smet Jesuit High School in St. Louis. Every private school seems like it has some famous parents, right? Like even like I went to Baylor, like Kirk Franklin's kids went there recently. Are there any like former athletes or entertainers or politicians that whose kids go to your school?
One of the head coach, D'Amico Ryans for the Texans, his son goes there. Tracy McGrady's son and daughter goes there. Those are the only two I can think of right now, but
she said that's the only two, Jack.
Pretty good. Yeah, it was pretty good.
It's like a who's who over there. No wonder you're 11-time state champion.
Now, Jay, I do want to call out a question I saw in the chat that Haley asked a great question. What's your favorite cheat meal? So I'm going to ask you a question, Jay, first. I want to give Bayleigh a chance to think about this. But what is your, cheat meal, or let's say a cheat item? Because for me, ice cream is my poison for sure. That's the reason I'm the only person on this that never ran track, because I like ice cream too much. But Jay, like, what's a go-to, cheat item or cheat meal for you?
Well, first of all, I have to tell you, I've known Jack for a while. This is the leanest and most in shape I've ever seen Jack. This man is just looking. He is right now. He knows I'm telling the truth. It's a live stream. It's how we talk. All right. My cheat, this is my New York influence. I absolutely love a lox. So that's a total East Coast thing. A lox.
Very New York.
Is a bagel. It's got cream cheese. It's got salmon and a whole like dill and a whole bunch of other things. It's on bread. So you're gonna need to run it off after that. So that's when I do that. I usually, like, if I'm in New York, I like to go up to the top of my building on the 54th floor. You can see all of Brooklyn, and you can see all of Manhattan, and I like to eat it. And I like to also have a little sparkling water, because I think if you're grown and it doesn't have a little sparkling water in it, you're doing things wrong.
I know, Bayleigh, you got to have a more exciting answer than that. I start with ice cream, and then we rolled off to a bagel. So, like, Bayleigh, you got to bring the age down in this discussion right now. What do you got?
I'm actually the same with you, Jack. Mine is ice cream. Like, I used to
She's
always
amazing.
eat ice cream, but now I don't really eat it as much. Like, I don't know the last time I had ice cream, but it's still very good. That's my favorite dessert. So,
well, running fast is what you do. Ice cream's probably not good for running fast.
Yeah.
It's good. Great question from the chat, though.
Yes. Love that. Before we get into more business, have to talk with it. We need some more all in. If you're just joining, because the chat is growing. Shout out to you guys. You guys totally make this show. It's the difference between a podcast and the interaction, the back and forth. If you've never been on before, awesome. Just go to either your app, or if you're on the desktop, and it says post a comment, and you can ask, you can comment, you can do everything. So if you're an expert, cool, jump in. So to that end, if you following Bayleigh on all of her channels, I'm gonna have her give it to you again, because I need her to get used to like pitching it, asking people. My grandmother used to say, a closed mouth don't get fed. So to that end, what are your social channels, and where can people find you?
My Instagram, my sports page is Bayleigh_sports, and then my personal is Bayleigh Minor, and Twitter is Bayleigh Minor also.
And TikTok.
TikTok was the best comment.
I'm not sure what my TikTok username is.
Hey,
it's probably Bayleigh something.
Hey, you know what? I'm gonna get Bayleigh. I'm gonna work with Bayleigh after. She's gonna do an Instagram story where she just lists her links to her TikTok, so y'all can pull up and find her. All right.
Jay, the best part about the chat, you've been asking people to comment and things like that. And then we have this chat thinking about sponsorship opportunities. This is great. I see it. Ben and Jerry's are Bluebell sponsor. Now, I've dedicated a lot of my life to like sponsorships, branded content, and all this stuff. Like, our chat is thinking about it already, which is cool, because we're going to talk about brand building. We're going to talk about some NIL kind of stuff. Like, we already have the chat thinking like this. So this is beautiful.
Yeah. Shout out to you guys. And if you're just joining, I'm Jay Hicks, host full-time of Brand&Athlete, former D1 athlete who story tells, content tells, and then started this to help amplify and tell the stories of student athletes. I'm joined alongside Jack Patterson, one of the great vice presidents of social and digital in all of college sports. So we're about to get into some business. Are you guys ready to get to the bag? Bayleigh, are you ready?
Absolutely.
Yes,
I am. You definitely need to be ready.
All right. So we want to talk about long-term play, right? I want to ask, we asked you the other day, again, a plug to the Get to Know. If you haven't seen it, go to our page, make sure that you watch it and like this one as well. And we asked you, I said, Bayleigh, if you could have your own NIL deal, what would you want? And you said,
I said Ford. That was like the first thing that came to mind.
And I love this. And if Ford is watching, why do you pick a Ford? Because that might surprise people. I'm a Ford. I literally have a Ford truck, F-150. Shout out. Why did you pick it? And what would that mean for you?
I just picked it because like it has like diversity kind of with their cars. And I feel like any car brand, if I got like a sponsorship from any car brands, like Honda or like Mercedes, Ford, anyone, I would be like an honor, because most people don't get car brand NIL deals.
All right, before we move on, because I know Jack has one, I want you to look at the camera. If you're Ford or anyone else, like, what is it about Bayleigh that you think would make you a good person to do an NIL? I know that you do a great job in it, and I'm sure you'll be with your friends rocking with the top down. You know what I mean? But and maybe we end up sending this to Ford.
What did you say? Sorry, it like disconnected for a second.
No, that's okay. Like, just tell us if someone was listening from Ford or whatever automobile company, what about you do you think would be a great reason for them to underwrite you as an NIL athlete coming to the 40?
It's close to home, kind of. So it's like driving distance. So I would have to have a car to get to Austin and then back to Houston. And then Houston's a pretty big city, and I go to a private school. So like nobody's really next to each other. And if you are next to each other, pretty lucky. But like I've driven like 50 minutes to see one of my friends before.
In the city?
Yes.
That's a big city. See, I think the fun part about track and sponsorships, so like this is where my mind goes. I'm thinking about Ford already. Is like you obviously can't promote a product that you want to go fast. You want to go fast on the track, but you want to be safe when you're in your vehicle, when you're driving to and from practice and things like
Right.
that. So like there's something there because we want you to go fast when it comes down to meet day, but then the rest of the week you need to be safe, you need to be smart. You also want to be cool. And so whether it's the Ford Bronco or something like that, like that's where he picture someone who's doing really cool things on the track and also down in Austin. So many things to digest there with Ford. But I'm also curious, just as a, from who you are, like who are brands that you kind of like, and whether it's fashion brands or it's Lululemon or, obviously it's Nike or Adidas, obviously, Adidas currently or whatever. But like, who are brands that you like, whether you like them on social or whatever? Because like Noah Lyles, for example, the presenter of his podcast is Huel, which is a kind of health and wellness company, and they do shakes. And I'm drinking an Element right here, right? So that's like a hydration drink, whatever. So like that's something I like. But what are things that you like, whether it's eating or drinking or fashion or style? Just curious as much as anything.
Definitely Lululemon, like them. I would say like Nike or Adidas. I like both of them, mix and match. So
Good answer. Perfect answer, actually.
Disney also. Love Disney.
I love that. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, I think that's good. Yeah, because I think that's important. Is I think, we'll talk about it a little bit later, but one, understanding who you are as a brand, I think is important, but also the brands that resonate with you. There's nothing more uncomfortable for anyone, whether you're on Instagram or otherwise, when someone makes an ad and they just aren't into it and it's not something they like. And whether it's Ford or it's Lululemon or it's Nike or Adidas or Disney or otherwise, that's the beauty of kind of just understanding who you are as a fan. And again, that's just as a fan. That has nothing to do with what's happening on the track or anything else, but like just thinking about those. And again, that can be aspirational that it's someday Lululemon may come after you or something like that. But it is fun to think about is kind of who are the brands that you kind of resonate with. And then, kind of what is that discovery as you find new brands. And so there's obviously plenty in track. And I'm sure when you get to Austin, you'll find out about a whole bunch of things they're doing in strength and conditioning and nutrition and otherwise. But always curious about kind of brands that people like.
Yeah. And real quick to the chat, I want you guys to pull up. Let us know who you guys think, because you guys, a lot of you know Bayleigh personally. Who do you think should be a sponsor for her? So let us know. And I love this tip, Jack, because it's like becoming a great athlete or getting to the next level. I think only 5% of all high school athletes ever perform at the next level, right? And Bayleigh's at the top of that. And I think it's also big to you and I talk about this, Jack, to be able to watch the people who are pushing out content, who are creating and storytelling. This is actually your thing, so I'm gonna let you talk about it. Yeah. But I think you bring up that point. Can you talk a little bit about that and give this tip for Bayleigh, and then also people, because we have people in this chat who are parents, we have coaches, because I know some of these folks, and some people are teammates and up and coming youth runners and athletes.
Yeah, and I think for any age, again, parents, college, high school, you name it, is I think there's people that are doing brand deals and sponsorship deals right now, right? So one, there's like kind of watching that content. So again, you can follow people that may not be your favorite. They may be someone that you like, but they're just doing cool things in business. We all know when we look through our Instagram feed or our TikTok feed or otherwise, there's some people that the ads, they just don't make sense. They're so scripted. They're so boring. They just don't really, like if I did a hair sponsorship, like that makes no sense. That's stupid, right? And so in the end, like there's something about like looking at your own feed. And when you see something that's done well, whether it's an ad or it's branded content or it's a team doing something, why was it cool? So for track, there's obviously some compelling characters that are on social, and whether it's the Woodalls or it's Sid or it's Noah Lyles or whoever it may be, they're doing interesting things. I saw, when you're long jumping over packages of sandwiches, which I saw last night, I was like, okay, we're getting creative now. That's awesome. But I think
Yeah.
that's the fun part, is thinking about just kind of what you see. And so, as I said, when I will listen to a podcast, and Noah Lyles, he has Huel and he has Element, and then there's there's other podcasts that do things. The Sidious podcast has Keto IQ. Take note of who those brands are. If they're supporting track podcasts and content and things like that, they may be looking for others. But the keto product is a little bit more of a running product, just to be clear, because I did look into it. It's less probably for 400 runners, but make no mistake, we can be talked out of that if someone wants to reach out to us about that. But I think that's the fun part, is you can look at your feed from your friends, and you should do that. That's great.
Yeah.
But there's also a part of business, is follow Lululemon, who's actually one of the very best at branded content and the things that they're doing, and see how they integrate things and why they're doing it. So sometimes follow brands. I think there's a lot of people that are in high school and early college that don't just follow brands. That tends to be something a little bit older people like me do. But if there's brands that you like, that you think are interesting, at least learn from what they're doing on social. You'll get to know them better. And I think that's the beauty of it, is at some point you align yourself. I see Kendra Scott in the chat. Absolutely. Tremendous brand, does great things, cool things, relevant things. There's so many to follow. And so just a little homework for everyone out there. And certainly, Bayleigh, you're one of the ones that has to do some homework here, is think about some of those brands that you just mentioned, whether it's Ford or it's Lululemon or it's Kendra Scott, or, there's a lot. Aloe is certainly a popular brand. There's plenty of them out there. I see Dean talking about Adidas, Nike, Lulu, Mercedes, Land Rover, Ford, Smoothie King. I love it. As that's well played. So anyway, plenty of good things. But homework for everyone is to take a look at some brands. And certainly you're going to be in Austin. I see someone saying Luke's Locker in Austin. There's a lot of brands based in Austin and Texas.
Yeah, even Yeti.
Massive school.
They mentioned Yeti. Yeah, Austin brand. Yeah, and I love that. So hot tip that we just gave, that Jack just gave, is if you're a youth athlete or if you're a parent, start following people and follow people from different gatherings. I love the big ones like the Jake Pauls, because he's kind of an OG, right? And he does a lot of different things, and he shows athletes like not just how to create content, but like he's actually creating products of his own. He's not pitching other people's product. He has his own energy drink. And then follow somebody, Bayleigh, who's like at a mid-range. Maybe they have 10 to 15,000 followers. And then I love to find some really talented people who are in the 1,000 to 2,500 range. Those are what we call micro influencers, and they're very popular from the brand side. And for example, we love working with them at work, because what you'll find, Bayleigh, is that like the engagement level, or the level of which people are liking, following, and involved at the micro level is much higher. So if you have like 1 million followers, you really only have, this is a secret, a little dirty secret, you really only have access to about 30% of those people. Like the rest just aren't seeing your stuff, bro. Like if you ever notice for yourself, Bayleigh, there's people you follow that you don't see their content. So that's why it's good to follow. And that brings me to my next point for you. Let's actually start diving into what you're doing. How often are you posting right now? What platforms are you on? And just talk to us, just, mano a mano. How are you feeling about things?
Seems like a cool thing. I don't really post much. Like if I post, it's normally because of like a race I had like on my sports page, or something I got tagged in, or like for my personal page. Like the last thing I posted was like Senior Sunday, but that was probably a few weeks ago, definitely maybe a month ago. I don't post that much.
Yeah, there's a fine line for that. And I'm curious, like, obviously you've had a lot of success. And I think there's a balance between just constantly flexing about you want another race, you want another race, or you broke another personal best. I think that is hard.
Jack like DJ Khaled, and another one.
And another one. So I think that is tough. And so I think that is the hardest part. But I also think, like, I always urge, people to challenge themselves to think a little bit outside of the boxes. There's people that may learn more about track as a result of you or one of your peers. So it doesn't have to be you, not set as pressure. But if someone can learn a little bit more about the sport, or why that time is important, or that time was the best in high school this year, hint, hint, there's ways that you can talk about yourself, and not in an arrogant way. I think there's ways to try to kind of grow the sport in a good way. There's little things that people need to learn about track. Even today, I learned something when you talked about eating oatmeal in the morning. Like, that's interesting to me. So there's people like on race day of like what you eat, like that can be relevant content. It doesn't have to be obnoxious. You're not flexing that you won. It's just simply like, here's how I handle my mornings. And these are the things. I want it plain. I want it easy. I want it light. I want it carbs. Those are some simple things that sometimes always good from a social perspective, because it just kind of is like behind the curtains, kind of behind the scenes on what you do. And then even after a race, are you stretching? Are you not stretching? Like, what are the little things that you do that make you happy? Some of those like little things are good because everybody's a little bit different. And some people have funny quirks. They wake up and they eat something random, or they eat something ice cream, who knows? But I think that's one way to think about it, is the kind of your day to day and what you do and how can you give people a little bit more insight. And obviously there's other runners that are doing cool things too, and so you can learn from them as well.
Bayleigh, what do you think about that? He's just, his kind of strategy or thought process. Like, how do you feel? Because I know there's we shared, just full transparency, a little reluctancy. And as you step forward, how does that make you feel, what he's saying?
It makes me feel good because it's like everybody's like different, and you saying like you don't have to go all in on like posting every single thing. Like, you can do little parts here and there, which I like because I'm not a person who like goes and posts everything that happens in their life.
Yeah. And I think at some point people get sick of that too, right? So again, look at
Yeah.
your own feed, look at the people that thumb stopping content, as we like to say, is the people that make you stop. What are they talking about? Are they looking into the camera and talking into it? Like, there was a time where it would be these really polished videos and a whole bunch of editing and a whole bunch of everything. The beauty now is a lot of it's really lo-fi content where you're just kind of looking into the screen. And most importantly is that you're just being yourself. Like, no one wants anyone to be someone they're not. And so in the end, if more people can learn a little bit about you, or even again, people know you in track, certainly because of your success, but they may not know that you're a massive volleyball player as well. And you've spent a ton of your life in doing that. And what are the things that make you happy about playing volleyball, and how is it different than track? Being in a team sport, certainly track is a team sport in totality, but you run by yourself on the track for the 400. But those are things to me that are insights, that are personality based. And you can talk about, like, when you're competing as a team in volleyball, what that brings out of you that's different than track. Those are things that can be done really easily, really quickly in the same background you're doing right now, or it can be when you're just cruising around a meet or something. So that's the fun part, is to kind of think about, like, how can I get a little bit more of my personality out there? Because we have so many brands that are being mentioned in the track right now. Bath and Body Works, Ultra, Sephora, Ulta, I should say.
Hey, my favorite, y'all? My favorite is Smoothie King, because my goal, I think that's totally doable for you, Bayleigh, when you get to Texas. Because think about this, aren't most athletes getting a smoothie somewhere locally right around campus?
Yeah.
I love that.
That would be a cool one. Or a tropical smoothie. I like that.
Yeah, or even a mom and pop. That would be even better, right?
Yes.
Let's talk about this. Jack brings up good points. You bring up good points, Bayleigh. And one of the things I'm a big believer in is athletes and content creators documenting what you're doing, and as a starting point. So let's talk about what you're already doing, right? Because one of the things I'm really big about, and you and I have had conversations offline, I say this in the podcast, is to be yourself. And I think if you're authentically yourself and you do that, that is going to work better than anything. And let's talk about the actual activities you're doing, right? Because I think many athletes underestimate how much just pure gold they already have. And so they're thinking like movie producers or reality TV producers, and instead maybe think more practical, more realistic. So let's talk about your actual schedule. What does a normal day in the life look like when you're just a non-meet day in a practice, and then out of season when you may be either training or not training and you're just living life? Like, walk us through that.
Whenever we don't have school, a non-meet day for me, I wake up, my mom would, if it's Sunday, we'll go to church, and then like my mom will cook breakfast. If it's not Sunday, I'll just probably sleep till like 8 or 9 maybe. And then I chill, maybe hang out with a friend, but I normally don't do much if it's not a meet day. Probably will take a nap. And if it's a meet day, obviously like wake up, eat breakfast, go to the meet. Normally there all day. and then come back home and sleep.
Okay.
But that's actually, and that's even a good point, Jay, is like on a meet day, and there's a balance, right? Your coach has expectations of what you can and can't do on social. So let's set that out before anything. But I think on a meet day, I always think about that as like, that to me is the cool part is, and I respect a lot of the athletes that are trying to do some new things here. Like when there were some races in New York about a month ago, and a couple of people just were doing live streams during their warm-ups. Again, like some people don't want to do that. Like maybe a high school athlete doesn't want to do that. I get the balance of that. But I think the beauty of track for people that like the sport and watch it live, it's insane. Like it's so fast. It's absolutely electric. But there's also a lot of things going on, and there's quick churn between events and things like that. So again, if you're running a relay or you're running, individual heats and things like that, but there's something about learning from that. So again, you can even look at your peers and other athletes that run in another state. It doesn't matter. Is how can you two pair up and talk about why this meet was amazing this weekend in Boston, right? So as you're talking to people on the track this weekend, and they might be in another event. They don't need to be in the 400. But if you're talking to them, like, what was their journey this week? When did they arrive? What did they do before a match? So there's ways you can do it in social that make it conversational to where track fans can learn.
Yep.
Your fans can learn, but then you're crossing over audiences. And so you see collab posts all the time on Instagram where kind of both people are mentioned, if you will. How do you get other athletes? How do you cross over those audiences? And again, if you're yourself and you tell your authentic self and you're talking about your journey and what you're doing, you might get new followers, you may get new fans. And that's the beauty as you grow. And so there's intentional actions that you have to do. It doesn't just happen on its own. We wish we could just snap our fingers and have followers, but unfortunately, it doesn't work like that. So there has to be a little bit of work. And I think one of the things that I always say, and forgive me, Jay, for adding more homework to the plate for Bayleigh, but is to maybe think about the things that like, how is your story interesting, right? From how you grew up. So you grew up in a track family. Like that's actually really cool. Like you went to breakfast with Michael Johnson. We talked about that earlier. But even the impact that your parents have had on your life. And that could be a lot of things. It can be in a track circle, but also what they've done for you and how they provide for you and things like that. Like that's cool. Like, so I think there's ways that you can do it. And again, it's what you're comfortable with, it's what your family's comfortable with. But that's how you get to know people. I always point to the Olympics. There's events that everyone watches every year in the Olympics. They may not follow luge or bobsledding or something else, but then you learn about a story about how someone grew up and kind of what they went through and the challenges they overcame or all the things that have happened in their life. And before long, NBC has run this 3-minute feature. You're either crying, you're either like fully into it, but then when they show the event right after that, there's no way you can't watch. Like something has to be wrong with you if you don't. And so think about that for you as kind of what that journey has been like, where you've lived, why Texas is important to you, why the state of Texas is important, why the University of Texas. So same thing is like, you almost have to think about how you got here. And for me, I can think about, 5 things that shaped me as a child. I don't want to talk about every one of those things on social, but there is something about that sharing process because that's part of you. And so for you, you can probably remember your favorite race. It may not be the most important race by any means. There was probably a race that for you meant a lot to you. And maybe you beat somebody or something happened. You had a time. Like that's cool to me in telling that story. So again, it takes you got to get out of your comfort zone a little bit to do it. But in the end, you're not talking about, you're just talking about interesting things to you. So then when you think about a brand, the easiest way to do it is you put yourself in the shoes of the brand. And so if you're Lululemon, why are you going to partner with somebody? They have an interesting story. They have something to say. They care about style. They care about fashion. They care about performance. They care about these things. Like you're almost trying to push out there who you are to make yourself more interesting. And so again, it takes a little bit of work, it takes some effort, but I think there's ways to do it in a cool way that's not obnoxious.
I love
Any thoughts on that?
I think that's good overall insight because I've never heard about any of this like NIL. Like I would hear about it like a little bit on college visits, but never like dove into it like how you just did.
Yeah. And there's people in the chat talking about how amazing your parents are. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Like that's cool. That's awesome. So the more of that story is good. And again, everybody has to be on and talk about it. But I think that's interesting. And there's many other ideas and I'm happy to help you with others, but those are ways to think about kind of that internal process of kind of how you've gotten here. And I think the day you arrive at Texas, your whole journey starts in a little bit of a different path. which is cool.
Jack just gave a master class, I want to go back and building on Jack's framework that he gave and thinking about everything he just said. And let's go and be really practical. So on this show, we love it because it's a mix of the philosophy that Jack gave, because that's the framework. It really is. And then like, what can we walk away with, right? And combining those two so that when you walk away from this, you understand like these are things we're going to do based on what we talked about. So I'm actually going to turn this over to you, Bayleigh, and put you in the hot seat a little bit. So if you look at your schedule, what do you feel like you're doing that would naturally make content? Remember, we just asked you what your schedule is, meet day, non-meet day, and then your life when you're out of season. Like, what are some things that you think about to say, man, I could actually make content, and even think about things you've already seen on social media that others are doing, so you don't have to reinvent the wheel?
A lot of people, like I've seen my friends, they do like day in the life. So maybe something like that, or like a get ready with me. But I don't know. I would have to do something more less organized. So maybe like just taking like pictures and then posting it, or like I'll take like random pictures whenever I'm on a plane or something, so I could like post like where I'm going, like on an Instagram story.
Yep.
Yeah, and I think that's a good example. And Jay knows this more than any. Is I think Instagram in particular, carousels are favored by a lot of people right now.
Absolutely.
And I think so. Take for your Boston journey and the day of the meet, you probably have to be focused. There's plenty of things, but when you arrive on Thursday, you arrive on Friday. There's some signs that are going around. You might go to the facility. Like those are perfect carousel type posts. And again, think about it. You're literally in the 0.0001% at least that are participating at this meet this weekend. So there's a whole bunch of people that are in track that might find that interesting, that you arrive to your hotel. There's maybe a sign in the airport. There's a sign in the hotel. Like those are cool. Like those are little things that most people don't know. And I'm a track nerd, so I think it's particularly cool. But other people that know you might think it's cool too. And there's fans of the University of Texas that are excited for you to arrive in Austin. They want to see that you're competing at races this big and this important. So combine those things about photography, again, the things you like, who you are, and then push that out in your social. And again, you don't need to push out 1 million posts a day, but a carousel with a handful of posts of your arrival to Boston this weekend. I'll be looking for that. I will get a like ASAP. Look forward to that.
Okay. I love that. I love that. So as we talk about the content, you said a day in the life. One of the big things, and I think get ready with me, those are great. One of the big unrealized opportunities are really because you're heavy on Instagram. We're going to get you past that, but we're just going to start where we are. Our Instagram stories. It's just documenting the things you're already doing. So for example, do you think it's practical or possible for you to document practice, right? Like maybe is that at practice, could you create short videos, right, that just show some, like, what's your warm-up technique? Because I always think the greatest thing that a brand is an emotional connection to a person, place, or thing, right? That's the difference between why people pay what's now $7 at Starbucks, don't get me started, and $99 or $1.50 at the corner store. What's the difference? Why are people paying extra for the Air Force Ones over there that I have on the floor, right? Because you can go to Walmart and get some, they're not Jumpmans or they're hopscotch mans for a fraction of the price. And I think the way you, Bayleigh, can look at how to create that connection is to share and help others who are younger than you and who want to be in your spot. So before we talk about content, how do you feel about that as just a strategy so that we're not looking at people as followers, we're looking at supporters and community members?
That sounds good. Like knowing that it's like a following, I feel like it would just be easier, like as supporters, and then like trying to post for people who just follow for like to follow.
Yeah. And so if we're thinking about them as supporters and it's a mutual situation, that also means that you're creating content that helps them, right? Like, what are some things, like, here's what I try to do, and here's something you could do. What are some things that that you figured out in high school that other people don't know? Like, just off the spot, I don't want to put you on the spot, but what's something that you figured out is like a hack and you think maybe other people are missing without giving away the secret sauce? We're just talking about, like, maybe it's a warm up. Like, what are some things you think?
For like personal life, I would say it's as fun as you make it. But like track wise, I don't know. I don't really have any hacks.
Okay. How important do you think? And I'll give an example of one that I think, and I've talked to your coach, so that's kind of where I've got this from as well. Is that a lot of people don't really go intense enough in their warm-ups, right? Like I've talked to so many college coaches, and they literally can tell me it means they're like, Jay, I can look over to the warm-up and I can tell you how they're gonna run by the warm-up.
We don't really. I think we've lengthened our warm up now, but like at the beginning, it was very simple, like just stretches and drills. So I would say probably an intense workout warm up will help your workout, but I can't be like a huge contestant to that because we're just now starting to get a bigger and longer warm up.
Okay, I love that. And so I think, and Jack to join in here, I think one of the things you can do is just document the things you're already doing. Like you talked about, you like your friends. Like, what are things that you're already doing with your friends? Do you guys go to the movies? I think you said you guys go to eat. Do you guys take group pics afterwards? Do you share that?
We don't really take group pics that much, but normally if we do, it may be like a story post if we take it.
I would say at events, if you're taking pictures with other athletes that put up huge numbers or PDs or otherwise, it's simple to tag them in the post.
Yeah.
Again, your kind of crossover audiences there. And again, especially if it's people you've known from just competing at a lot of these big events. But, there's how do you give Mile Split or how do you give Citius Magazine a reason to want to share that content, right? So if there's two people that broke some records and then took a photo against, with each other, maybe you tag one of them or you send it to Mile Split or you send it to Citius, like some of these big track publications. Because again, it's a bit obnoxious. You feel weird kind of doing it, but all you're really trying to do is, help the other athlete. Let's make it about them, right? You're trying to get them out there. We'll make it about them. But there's ways to do that. But I think there's track publications. Mile Split's a good one. They have obviously a Texas organization. So there's people that have gotten to know you a little bit, probably as a result of following them. The beautiful part is that's parents that might be middle schoolers now. So again, they're going to follow you when you go to Texas. There's kind of the next generation that's happening always. And so think about it that way sometimes. It's other people that may be impacted by learning from you. So again, it kind of takes it off of that kind of like, it's less about a narrative and more like there's just things that you do. So even your superstitions on race day, how you tie your shoes, or there's probably a few little things you do on a match day, on a meet day, forgive me, that is interesting. Those are other pieces of content, but also other people find it interesting. So again, there's just more things to share with people. And again, whether you're impacting other people or it's advice or otherwise, like all these things that we've talked about for the most part is you just being you. And whether you're hanging out with your friends or it's on a
Yep.
meet day, I think that's the fun part.
Yep.
Yeah.
And Bayleigh, what do you think? I think we're at the point now where we start setting 0 to 30 goals, like actual practical things that we do. How does that sound?
That sounds good.
All right, so here's what I asked the chat. Chat, show up. Chat, show up. I need the chat to pull up. Some of you guys are washing dishes. You're doing other things. You're getting ready for tomorrow. Shout out to you guys for doing that while you're watching. I need you guys to pull up. What kind of content or what piece of content would you love to see from Bayleigh? What are your recommendations? You guys are on social media too, right? So drop it in the chat. We're going to come back around to it. And we're going to start with you, Bayleigh, and we're going to come around to Jack, and then we'll come back to the chat. So let's talk about that 0 to 30. Right now, I'm just on your, I just keep it 100. I'm on your Bayleigh Sports. Let's see, you've got, which shout out to you, 1,186 on that one, 46 posts. That's strong. I think we're in a good spot, right? You've got some, your high, I think, is 14,000. Your most kind of viral piece of content. And in the last 2 days working with us, you've already had 2 pieces, but shout out to you for that. Shout out to you. So that's like 25% of all your stuff. But what do you think is a realistic goal? Because Jack and I can come up with numbers. I do have a number in my head, but I think if you're actively engaged and you think about like what's possible, what's doable, and then we discuss that and maybe massage that number a little bit, would that feel comfortable for you?
Yeah, willing to see what y'all have to say.
Okay, I'm gonna let you start though, Bayleigh. This is
I
your
was about to
world.
say, she pushed that right back to you, Jay. That was effective.
Um,
That was so
Hey,
good
you
by
know
her.
what I'm saying? Hey, Bailey's smart, but Bailey is a scholar athlete. I don't know if you guys are picking that up. Her dad put Dion Minor more posts about track journey, share videos of her races. Veronica, shout out to you, Veronica. This is a great one. Veronica, shout out to you. How to mentally prepare for a race. All right. So we do have to have a number. And I do think that Instagram stories are highly underutilized by most people. That's like 40%. So just a real quick lesson. So there are 3 different feeds. There's your post feed. That's one algorithm. Most people don't know this. But if you go to Instagram, like I have, they teach you this. Another one is Instagram stories. And here's why you have to post. Have you ever, and if you guys are at home, pull up your phone, go to the home button and look at the people on the left of to the right of your profile. Those are the people you most engage with. So one of the reasons to constantly post or have consistency is so you show up in people's feed. And if you want to do a little story, do what I'm doing right now. Go all the way to the end and see who's at the end. Where do you want to be? You want to be on the left or the right? So that's one of them. And then the third one is the Instagram Reel algorithm. It just shares that based on people's likes and what their habits are. So we need to have a little bit of a mix. Does that make sense, Bayleigh?
mm-hmm.
So how many Instagram stories do you think our goal for each week? Because are you posting a lot of stories right now?
No, I barely post on Instagram, so I don't know, maybe like 3 to 5.
Now, I am curious, baby. Do a lot of your friends post a lot, or is it more like your personal preference? Like, do they post more than you or a little less than you?
I would say, I don't know.
Fair
Maybe
answer.
some do more, some do
Yeah.
less. Some don't even use Instagram. Like,
Yeah.
I think, and Jay, not to skip ahead at all, but I think that's the thing to think about is, this has been a monumental change in college sports. And obviously, you're not quite there yet. But the constant thing you hear about is that people want to or need to start looking at themselves as a brand, whether they like it or not. So again, that's a little bit out of comfort zone for a lot of people. But if you look at it as an opportunity and not a burden, so it's not like something you have to do, it's something you choose to do. And the cool part is, again, in the chat, there's suggestions about what kind of content would people want to see more of. There's workout content, track journey, as we talked about, videos of races, how do you mentally prepare for a race, how your faith powers your success, super cool, like warm up. There's things that, again, people in the chat want to see. And I don't think anything there is asked that's too far out of your comfort zone, right? Those are things that you know off the top of your head. You don't have to think that hard about what you do. So from a posting perspective, when Jay's trying to challenge you and think about how you can post more stories and how you can post more feed, what's fun is like all you're really doing is saying, this is an opportunity to tell my story and tell my brand. And so you could call it public relations, you could call it marketing, you could call it whatever you want, branding, but really it's just getting your story out there. Because as we talked about earlier, the more your story's out there, the more fans you have. The more fans you have, the more potential for brand deals that may come. As I kind of said to Jay before on a separate conversation, no one's ever complained about someone having too many followers. No one's ever complained about someone winning too many races. So I feel confident about your skill to win races. You have to challenge yourself to kind of do more on the social side. But the fun part is stories. All these people are in this chat, and the people that love you, your family, so many others that are on this chat, they probably want to see more too. And what's cool is you look at this chat and there's names on there. You're like, oh, I know them. You're like, oh, that's my cousin. That's who, whatever. They want to see it too. So if anything, you want to do it for yourself, do it for them and do it for the people that follow you as well.
All right, Jack, we've got somebody else said product reviews, workout, warm-up content, mental prep again, comes up again. And here's the thing I want you to think about. I'm going to go really leaning into practical, right? Like I am a day one guy. I'm all about getting started. I think sometimes we spend so much time worried about like 6 months, a year, 2 years, that it keeps people, because sometimes the thing between our brain is so powerful. So we're actually just let's click out a little bit and just think more practical, right? Here are some things I kind of have some goals, want to talk to you about them, but I want you to align on what you feel is practical. I have 0 to 30, one piece of content per day. That can be a story, a photo, a reaction, an update. Keep it 100 and keep it real. Is that practical, doable?
Yeah, it's doable.
But I hear a but coming. And here's the thing I'm going to tell you, Bayleigh. You can bank content. So like if you go to a meet or like if you leave Boston coming up, if you take some photos, you don't have to post them while you're in Boston. That could be like a Tuesday look back, like, man, can't believe this happened, man. On to the next one. You know what I'm saying? All gas. And then what they say in Texas, all
No
gas,
breaks.
no breaks. See what I'm saying? See how I did right there, Bayleigh?
Mm-hmm.
So don't think every day. But we don't want to get too far down the road. Do you think that's possible to do one piece of content, a story a day?
Yeah, I think it's possible.
I love that. And also, if you think about it, the next 5 days are somewhat easier than some other weeks, right? Thursday, you leave. Friday, you're going to be around the town. Saturday is there. Sunday, Monday, you can do a look back and do a handful of photos on a carousel, right? So the next 5 days are easy. So we've taken care of 25. There's only 25 more left. We got to figure out.
We're good. All right, then how about this? One of the big things I'm going to give you guys, this is the hack. If you guys are at home, I don't care if you're an athlete or not, I need you to pay attention. A lot of people, this is a hot take, they're selfish. They only think about themselves and what they get out of content. What I need everyone to focus on is how can you put somebody else on, right? Like how many are you going through people's feed and you see a piece of content and you like it? Do you actually hit the heart? Do you drop a comment in there? So I'm going to give you something here. One comment a day keeps the doctor away.
Okay.
What do you think? These are your people. Think you're only following. You opted in, Bayleigh, to the people that show up in your feed. So these aren't frenemies, friends that are enemies. These are real ones.
Mm-hmm. I normally comment like when I see a friend's post, so that one's pretty easy.
Okay.
That one's good. The next step of this is like, and again, Jay will chop this up and we'll send it, but how are you going to comment on like a Sidious post on Instagram, who obviously covers track, and Chris Chavez and people like that? So we'll send this to Chris. We'll say, all right, this person made a comment. Maybe you guys should take note. But there's some track publications and things. Follow those. Find out the things they're talking about. It just helps you understand the sport more and what people are talking about, what they're doing. But same thing. The bigger things should be seeing the great things you're doing.
Yep.
Grand Slam included.
Yep. Love that. And then the next one, like and reply to every commenter on your post.
I normally try. I definitely like all of them. Reply, maybe not to all, but
I mean, think about this. People, I'm telling you, someone who creates content every single day. Guys, I'm trying to tell you, between work and what I do here, I put out, our team is responsible for about 80 pieces of content today, each day. People don't comment that much. I have to tell you guys, now, if you're a big brand, if you're Texas, if you're Baylor, sure. But even then, it's relative. It's like a lot of views and not that many comments. So here's the reason why I would implore you to comment. Those people are investing in you. They took time out of your day to say, yo, what's up, Bayleigh? And so you don't have to write an encyclopedia. You can put an emoji. I try to come up with about 3 to 4 words. 3 to 4 words an emoji. Because then think about this. What happens? Have you ever commented, Bayleigh, somewhere and then they didn't reply?
Probably.
What happened when someone did reply though?
I just liked their comment.
And you thought it was cool though, right? Probably.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's our 0 to 30, guys. What do you guys think? Chat, we're going to go to 60 to 90 next. Chat, what do you guys think of the goals? Are they realistic? Did we miss anything? Because Jack doesn't know it all. He's really good. He's one of the greatest to ever do it. He really is. He's worked with some of the biggest brands, but did Jack or I miss something? And it's probably me that missed something. So
I would also say, Bayleigh, real quick on Instagram story, forgive me, Jay, I think, on Instagram stories, other people are already pushing out cool content. So whether it's track related or it's University of Texas related, there's already things happening. So just simply sharing posts and making a comment. So, there's something that, Texas Track is probably going to post this weekend. It's probably going to be cool. They do great content. And so there's easy ways to share that, and then say, can't wait to get there, can't wait to arrive. There's plenty of ways that other people are doing good content. Again, New Balance is going to be pushing out stuff this
Yep.
weekend.
Yep.
So there's plenty of content that's already happening. And then you're just simply sharing it on your Instagram story and then maybe making a comment. So the best example of that, as you said, or as we know, like, I don't think the exact time you're racing this weekend. That's an Instagram story post if there ever was one. I'm going to be racing at this time, kind of thing. And again, you're busy on race day, so I'm not trying to get into that world. But in the end, getting your race time is important for the people that are following you and the people they're doing. And then is there a link to where they can watch you? So again, track doesn't make it easy sometimes to follow those things, but that's what you want to think about is, again, all these great people that have taken the time in this chat to make a comment. They want to know when you race and what you're doing. So again, it's just a different mindset. You're thinking about a distribution channel more than anything. You're not, puffing your chest out. You're not saying, I'm the best. You're just simply trying to get information out.
Okay. Sounds
Yeah.
good.
And I love that. And not to beat a dead horse, but I think Jack brings up a great post because that's like, does your school put an announcement out about anything that you feel that's related to your brand or about, like the media information? I think every post, to Jack's point, doesn't have to be you creating content each time. It could be you sharing it. And it's the people, and it could be just like, is it the Grand Slam announcement that, like, hey guys, we're 60 days out, whatever. I think
And
that's
real quick, Bayleigh, as I'm reading the chat right, her coach knows what time she runs. That sounds like you have a good post coming out. You got to post pretty quick tomorrow, or that's an easy one.
Yeah, Jack. Yeah. I will say this too, though. You're right that many times we don't know, but the Nike, or excuse me, the New Balance indoor does have their schedule on the website. I just want to say that because I don't want anybody coming after me from New Balance. But Jack was just making the point. All right, so let's move, guys. 30 to 60 days, and I'm going to email these to you afterwards. Bayleigh, this is what I call the level up. Right. So the first ones, we just try to give you things that are realistic. The next ones are leveling up. And that would be the one that I have is twice a week asking an engaging question through stories or posts. Okay. What do you think? What does that mean to you? Like Jack and I are gonna let you talk for a second. What does that look like for you if we say you asking questions?
That seems pretty easy, like especially on Instagram with the little sticker filter thing that they have. So that doesn't seem too bad. It'd probably be the replying for me. I probably wouldn't reply to all of them or like
you could at least post the cool questions though, right? So if you said like, what kind of content do you want to see more race content, right? That's a good one to put up for people that follow you and things like that. And then someone said like, that's all I want. It's hard for me to find track content or something. Okay, perfect. So like, that's one you could post that reply and say, I'll do my best or whatever it's going to be, right? So I think you'll get, you're not going to get some insane amount of responses, but you'll get plenty of responses. But what really you're doing is kind of just opening up the conversation platform. Yeah. So again, there's probably an 8th grader out there that has watched you race before that thinks you're absolutely insane and how fast you are and you're going to Texas. And that means a lot to them. So again, assume in your mind, it's that younger athlete, like for you, when you looked up to somebody, it's not always that, make no mistake. But again, there may be someone that just simply replying to them means a big deal to them. So again, you can reply on Instagram stories, you can reply in feed. But sometimes the questions are often like, do you want to hear about the gear I wear and why or something like that? Like, there's ways, again, inside baseball kind of stuff, as they'd say, but you're just trying to give people an opportunity to ask questions.
Okay. So 30, here's what we got, guys. And then we got to bring her home. 30, 60 days, 60 to 90, and then we're going to bring it all home. The other one is sharing training clips and behind the scene moments. Twice per month.
That doesn't seem too hard. Probably not training because we don't really use our phones at practice, but behind the scenes could probably work. I don't know what you mean by it though.
You know what? I think you're super creative. I think you can make, figure out like what works for you. Is that like maybe somebody just training, like filming you running a little bit, you talking about it. You don't have to give the whole workout away. You don't even have to talk about what the workout was. Just keep it simple. It could be photos, right? It could be video. So I'm going to lean on you for that. But here's the thing I wouldn't do. I wouldn't overthink it. I would just think about, like, I have this thing, y'all. I call it 80% rule. And I've been doing this on my own on Brand&Athlete. What happens is you're going to spend so much time like perfecting it, getting it perfect. And oh my gosh, but if I just zoom in a little bit, and then next thing you know, you spend hours. I try to get content to what I call the 80% mark, and then it's gone. I'm not going to overthink the music. I'm not going to overthink the copy. 80%, and I got to press push. And I tell myself that. So what happens is that'll help you speed things up. All right. So how do you feel about that one?
Sounds doable. Sounds good.
Okay. That's all we have for 30-60. All right. And then 60 to 90, and Jack, jump in. 60 to 90 is refine and expand. And that is introducing collaborations.
I said it.
Chat.
Yeah.
Drop a fire emoji if you want to see the collaborations. All right. We're going to talk about that.
Yeah, collaborations we talked about earlier. I think there's collaborations with people that may be at the race. There may be, some famous person at the event. Who knows? But again, you have famous people in your own house, people that are very successful in track, and your parents and things like that. So sometimes it's a teammate, sometimes it's a coach, it's whatever it may be. So again, collaborations, it's almost how do you think bigger? There's someone that you've raced against that doesn't live in Texas, that has nothing to do with you. And if you text them and say, hey, how do we help each other and do some cool things on social? How do we collab? And then again, you can do a collab post. We can teach you how to do that. But there's ways that you kind of can lean on each other's following. Collaborations simply spread out your network. Yep. So again, you have a group of people that see your posts. This is a brand new group of people. So again, when you're authentic, when you're a self, you do lo-fi content, you don't overthink it.
Yep.
Someone's like, oh, she's cool, she's fast. All right, I'll follow her. So that's good.
So let's do this. Let's start local. Let's start easy. Let's start with collaborations with, if you have any teammates. I'm not saying you have to. I'm just trying to give you some light lifts. Light lifts to me are things that people you already know. Could you do a Q&A? Could you guys like come up with the topic and ask each other? And that's the video. Like, I think a lot of people just overlook that. You could do a Q&A with a coach. You could do it with a teammate. It could be on track. It could be on social stuff. Like, it's your world. What do you think about that sort of a collaboration?
That sounds easy and like good to do.
I love the optimism. It's good. I love it. It's infectious.
And then the other thing, and speak to this, Bayleigh, this one's a stretch goal. This is a stretch goal. Jackson's sales, so he knows stretch goals means we're stretching here. I would love you within the 60 to 90 day to do one Instagram live where you interact with followers in real time for 15 minutes.
Okay. I've never been live before, but
there you go. That's why it's I'll make a commitment to you, Bayleigh, that I'll be on the live and I'll ask some questions to keep the conversation going. How about that? So I'll be typing away to make it easy.
Yeah, and here's what you would do. You may not use ChatGPT. I know some parents and teachers are against it. I'm all for it. Don't listen to it when it comes to content. Don't use for homework though. Don't use for homework, kids. All right. So here's what you should do. Open up ChatGPT. And I'm actually going to do this in real time because I'm crazy like that, y'all. I actually use it on voice mode. I'm going to do this in real time. This is real time. Just so you guys know, ChatGPT, I am on premium. Shout out to ChatGPT. Hey, ChatGPT, can you come up with 5 questions that Bayleigh Minor, 11-time Texas state champion, can ask in an Instagram live for 20 minutes to get engagement and content and have a fun time with our audience? Give me, how about 3 to 5 options, ChatGPT. And it's her first time doing it, so make it easy. See how I talk to ChatGPT? It's going now. Watch this, y'all. This is in real time. It's going. Gotcha. Since it's Bayleigh Minor's first Instagram live, we'll keep it simple, fun, and engaging, and giving her plenty of room to interact naturally with her audience. I'm going to get down to it. Number 1, what's up, y'all? Let's start easy. What's everybody tuning in from? Where's everybody tuning in from? That's the first question you can ask. The second question. Okay, quick poll. What's your go-to hype song before a meet or game? This is Chat GPT, y'all. This is
I mean,
your
that's a good
50.
that's
Go
a
ahead,
good
Jack.
question that we didn't even ask, Jay. I mean,
Yeah.
like, see,
All right, we're gonna ask it now, y'all.
yeah, let's say.
What's y'all's hype? Because some of y'all aren't running anymore. If you're going out for dinner or going out with your buddies or your family, what's your hype song? Drop it in the comments. All right, number 4. Or number 3. Let's talk game day food. What's your pre-match or meet meal? This is ChatGPT, y'all. 4.
I didn't use ChatGPT when I asked that question. I was ahead of the curve.
4, and I'll go quicker. All right, let's play a game. Would you rather sports edition? And then it gives you some questions. And the last one, what's your sports moment you'll never forget? So you ask them, and here's the thing, Bayleigh, you can go get a smoothie, get a salad at the store, sit in to the restaurant, turn your camera on, eat, and talk to them.
She's like, maybe.
Hey, I have a question for the chat. Chat, would you guys pull up to the live stream, the Instagram live that we just described for Bayleigh? I'm gonna screenshot this to send it to you, Bayleigh. Would you guys pull up? And Bayleigh, give me your full analysis on using ChatGPT and how you would craft this Instagram live.
I just recently ever tried ChatGPT. So it's pretty cool, actually. I think it would be pretty easy and make it easier to do an Instagram live.
There you go. I also think a great question for that, particularly if there's track people on, is what's your favorite event to watch? Like, not saying this just because we have this superstar on, but I love the 400. 400 and 200 make me so happy. I think it's amazing to watch. But there's a lot of people who like watching other things. And obviously the distance runners have done amazing things in the last few years. It's super compelling lately. But asking someone's favorite event, I think, is always a great question because that's the beauty of track, because there's so many different, kind of events. Like, I still think triple jump is one of the sickest things I've ever seen live. Like, live triple jump is the coolest thing. Like, it's so athletic, but still the 400 and 200 is where I watch. Jay, what's your favorite event to watch? And then Bayleigh, we're going to ask your favorite event to watch when you're not running.
Mine is the 800 because it's extremely tactical race.
Mine is a 4x4. It's like a fun race. Everybody knows it.
That's true. That's true. Relay 4x4 is the best for sure. The chat is reflecting that as well, so I like it.
All right, guys, chat, jump in. What's your favorite one to watch? Here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna do a rapid fire. Jack, you can answer these too. We just got to be quick, the both of you. Here is rapid fire questions for you guys. Let me ask you this: what's the first thing you do when you get up? Honestly.
You first, Bayleigh. You're always first.
Yeah, Bayleigh first, Jack second.
Okay.
First thing.
Drink water or get on my phone.
So I brush my teeth more times than I care to admit in a day. So I brush my teeth like ASAP. Like, I brush my teeth like 4 or 5 times a day. So that's me.
If you had to pick one, gold medal at the Olympics or starring in a Nike commercial or Adidas, what's your move?
Gold medal at the Olympics.
Mine's probably the commercial because I couldn't win a gold, but I love the answer.
I'm going with the Olympics because I'm in elite territory. All right, 3. What's your go-to hype song before a race?
I don't have a certain song.
Really? That's interesting. To me, that's interesting. I think that's a good social post to say, many people are surprised that I don't have like a go-to song. So are you listening to music right before a race and you just play whatever is on, or?
I just shuffle a playlist and whatever comes on, comes on.
Cool. Okay. I don't know if I have a song, Jay. I don't run. You're good.
Okay. All right. You get a free NIL deal for life, but it can only be one thing: food, clothes, or cars. What are you picking? And why?
Probably food, because you'll always need food.
Great answer. I'll take Bayleigh's answer. I'll let Lululemon feed me all day. It'll be good. That's the food I want, is their clothes.
I'm taking the car because I'm going to get a hot car. I'm going to move between cars. And then when I get tired of them, I'm going to sell them, keep the bag, and flip it and keep going.
Sounds good.
All right. If you could race any athlete in history, who would it be?
I would say Allison Felix.
Great answer. It's hard for it would be a beatdown, but Michael Johnson for me. Let's be clear.
I would put, believe it or not, I put Butch Reynolds. Chat, tell me what you guys think. Butch Reynolds, and the reason why is when I was a kid, I had a poster of him in his room, and before Michael, there was Butch. So I think that would be he's one of the great all-time 400-meter runners, low 43. All right. What's your guilty snack you can't give up right now? What is your guilty snack, guys?
Cheez-Its.
That's a good answer. I got rattled there for a second. So I've given up ice cream, so that doesn't count. But like, I can eat a lot of fruit. Like I can eat mini pieces. So that's not really a guilty pleasure, but ice cream.
Yeah, it's got to be guilty. No, you got to go back. That's not okay.
Ice cream's the answer.
Okay, that's fair. All right, describe your perfect rest day. No training, no practice, just vibes.
Probably waking up, eating like a good breakfast, maybe a brunch, taking a nap, and then maybe hanging out with friends.
Today was about 80 degrees in Dallas. That's a good place to start. So if I'm by a pool and I'm hanging outside and enjoying the Texas weather, I'm a pretty happy person.
I'd say a cup of coffee before a hike in the mountains. That's me. All right, 8. Would you rather go viral for a crazy track moment or a hilarious off the track moment?
A crazy track moment.
Mine would be crazy because they'd be wondering why I was on the track. But I love that answer. So wait, when you say crazy, what does that mean for you, Bayleigh?
I don't know. Like last year when I ran like a 53:05, like I think Mile Split posted it, and people were like looking at one of the officials, and they were like, "Wow, look at his face" or something. I just thought that was funny, but.
Jay, shout out to Mile Split. If you put up some big numbers this weekend, we're gonna need Mile Split to have to step up on that. So we'll follow up on that.
Yeah, come on to a Mile Split and Texas Mile Split.
Yeah.
Mine, of course, you guys know me. I'm going off the track. You know what I mean? I'm going Kevin Hart. You know, pulling up and racing some at nationals, this NCAA's, and running somebody in the 60. You know what I mean? All right. So, gotta ask you this, Bayleigh. If you had to choose being a world champ in track or an undefeated volleyball legend, which one are you picking?
Probably a world champion.
Okay.
I'm not answering that one, Jay. You go ahead. Next question. That's just silly for me. I'm in the presence of greatness right now. I can't answer that.
I'm going track. World champ. All right, because then you're in history, and you can always pull up. 10. It's the last one, Bayleigh. Your race day fit, loud and flashy, or clean and simple?
Clean and simple.
That's the best answer, by the way. And again, eventually you find a sponsor to carry you through all that stuff. We'll do that. But no, it has to be. I agree. Simple is the move for sure.
I'm going loud and flashy because I worked hard to be here, and I'm gonna let you guys know. You know what I mean? And matter of fact, I shouldn't say. I'm just gonna say this. I would go loud and flashy. Let's see. Ms. Haywood said clean and simple. Guys, let us know which one you guys would do. All right, as we wrap up, Bayleigh, one more question, then we're gonna wrap this whole thing up. What is one person that I don't want to say look up to, because I know you're probably like myself. You're like you know all the great people in your family around you. Like I've never really like idolized people because I think then it's like you put them on a pedestal, and I really don't believe in that. But I do see people, I have seen people in my life who like I draw inspiration from, right? They inspire me, like, man, I like the way they're doing it. I'm not gonna do what they're doing, but I like it. Is there anybody, whether it's track or life or social or entertainment or fashion, because I know you like fashion, is there anybody that inspires you right now?
Kind of, not really. Like, don't really keep up with many celebrities or like athletes, but like one person, like just in general from what she's doing, Sydney McLaughlin, like always going on the track, handling business, like PRing at like every huge meet, setting a world record every time.
It's a tremendous answer. She's an inspiration to everyone. I think that's the cool part is like, she just, again, another person who has a tremendous brand. She's done a great job of just being herself and just being so straightforward. And then she just absolutely crushes on the track, which is awesome.
All right, I got to ask you this, Bayleigh. I know you're super talented. And you guys tell me this. I need the chat to answer. Chat, you guys tell me too. Chat, pull up. If you make a Netflix documentary, what is the documentary about? You're the producer. You're the director.
What is it about? I
Yeah,
would probably
what's it?
just do like my track career.
Let's go.
I'm in. I'll watch it the first day. It'll be good.
All right, you may or may not have a producer with you. I'll rock with you, Bayleigh. I'll rock with you. All right, guys, as we wrap up, first of all, shout out to the chat. Shout out to the chat. Shout out to the chat. You guys have been amazing. I mean, look at this. This chat is amazing. Bayleigh, Jack, look at all this.
I've been watching it all day. It's awesome. I love the engagement and so many people supporting you and so many people talking about so many interesting things. And just, I don't know, it's just great when people have your back. It's awesome.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So Bayleigh, we have some goals. We're gonna let you give a motivation again, but talk to us about your goals. How do you feeling? Do you feel like you have something that's attainable, that's doable, that is yours? What is your mindset?
Very like attainable. Just have to step out of my comfort zone a little bit to do it.
Mr. J needs to slide in those text messages. Go ahead. I'm kidding, man. What do you think? What do you think, Jack? The goals that we kind of set out for her. I mean, you've done this a long time, signed some big deals.
Yeah, I think in the end, like I think I've said it probably more times than I needed to, is the best part is all we want you to do is be yourself. But there's ways that you can think about things a little bit differently. Again, when you take photos, when you arrive at a meet, there's ways you can get content out there that's about you. We're not asking you to do silly things that don't make sense. And so I think when you do that, and it's thinking about it as an opportunity. So it's a bit of a mind shift change. So it's not a burden. You can warn your friends you might post a little bit more lately. You're trying to work on your brand. Like if you want to get that out there, that's fine. But in the end, you're making an investment in yourself for the short term and the long term for your brand and who you are and telling your story. And respectfully, you have a cool story. You have a cool career going. You're still at a young age and you're going to the University of Texas to run track. You're at US Indoors this weekend. You have a cool story to tell. And so I think it can be engaging for all these people in the chat and so many of your current followers and future followers. So obviously wish you the best. You have a fan in me for sure. There are not too many Texas fans. I mean, I haven't supported too many Texas athletes as a lifelong OU fan, but I'm super excited to see what you do up there. And as I said, I will be watching this weekend and I can't wait.
Thank you. And thank you for all your advice.
Of course.
Hey,
Thank you.
appreciate you guys. Before we get up, we need to get these likes up, y'all. We need to get these likes up on this because this really helps Bayleigh. It shows that you're pulling up. Make sure you guys are liking this. I'm looking at the other screen. And then also, Bayleigh, where can people find you again? And then we need you. If you haven't done the all in, if you haven't followed her, I need you to do it now because this is like the Jerry Lewis telethon. We're getting to the end and we need you guys to do that. Where can people follow you?
My Instagram is Bayleigh_sports and then Bayleigh Minor. And my Twitter is also Bayleigh Minor.
Yeah.
And Jay, I will challenge for the people. We've given Bayleigh some homework on things that she can do with her posts and things like that. But all of these awesome people that are in the chat that have stuck with us, take the link to this YouTube, put it on your own socials, and talk about why Bayleigh is so cool, whether your family, your friends, or otherwise. Those are the things that show Bayleigh that you have her back. And again, let's spread out her network. Let's get more people following her and more people seeing her journey.
All right, guys, as we wrap up, drop in the chat what you thought so far. And while we're doing that, you guys tell us what you thought of the live chat with Bayleigh, what she shared with you. And here's what we're going to do. We're going to start with you, Jack, and then we're going to end with Bayleigh because Bayleigh, this is the Bayleigh show. Last time, Bayleigh, we asked you to drop a motivation for people who are getting started. This time, we'll start with you, Jack, and then we'll end with Bayleigh. Can you give a message to every young athlete out there grinding? Maybe they think, man, it's so far from where Bayleigh is. It's almost seems unattainable. And they're sitting there, maybe they're 12 or 13 years old. What's your message to that athlete, Jack, and then Bayleigh?
Yeah, I think in the end, there's something about being who you are and being authentic and being yourself, right? We've said it many times on this podcast. There will be people that are going to win awards. There's people that are going to win meets. They're going to win medals. They're going to win all those things. The only thing you can do is control what you can control. And for you, sometimes it's about grades. Sometimes it's about how you are as a person, how you treat your family, how you, deal with your faith, things like that. Those are truly the things you can control. And that's really what matters. So there's other people that may have success, that may work hard. But being yourself is what's super important. Respecting those around you. I think those are super important. So regardless of success on or off the track, control what you can control.
All right, before Bayleigh goes, I have to give a little shout out to the chat. Sorry about that, Bayleigh. Byron Clay. This is one of your people. Bayleigh. Byron Clay, all in, 3 exclamation points. LJ Austin, shout out to both of you guys, all in. So just for pulling up today, you're joining, your community grew tonight. People got to know you a little bit better. So anyway, Bayleigh, your message for that athlete starting out.
Mine is kind of similar to Jack's, but it's like comparison is your worst enemy. Like if you're comparing yourself to somebody who's been practicing or doing it for like 5 years and you just started, obviously y'all are not going to be at the same level. So like if you just keep working hard and like doing what you got to do, you will be okay.
Yeah, that's all in. We got some more. I love that, Bayleigh. That was great advice. A little bit to the chat before we wrap. Ms. Haywood, all in. Phyllis Tennard, apologize if I mispronounce your name, all in. And here's what we're going to do, Bayleigh. Just one thing I want you to do. This, I'm going to let you close out, right? I'm going to let you close out. First of all, please, I'm going to let you thank Jack for coming on because you're the host. The reason why is this is your second live stream. You're not a rookie anymore. You're doing amazing. This is, guys, I want you guys to show some love to Bayleigh. This woman is an 11-time Texas state champion. She is going to go down as one of the all-time great Texas athletes. Now, I mean, I almost cried saying it. I mean, that's how much it means to me. I'm serious. Y'all know I love this sport. I love this sport. I love young people, and I love what Bayleigh's doing. And I want Bayleigh to thank Jack and then close us out and thank everybody for coming. Thank all these people because they didn't come from my face. If you're coming for this, you're in trouble, Bayleigh. You don't have a chance. You don't have a chance if it's on me. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And then thank Jack, let him say some words, and then you close us out and thank everybody. And then you say some things and just want to say how much how proud I am of you.
Okay. Well, first off, I would like to thank Jack for coming on to the show, and you can say anything if you want.
No, you keep going. Okay. You got more time. Let's go.
And then thank Mr. J for having me on Brand&Athlete. I want to thank everybody who came to watch and supported, even if you didn't comment or couldn't comment. And I didn't really see everybody who came through, but thank you all for coming to watching.
I love that. I'll say one thing, Jay. We've praised Bayleigh a ton. I'm going to praise you. For people that don't know, Jay's one of the great dudes in our industry, a real person, an honest person, and genuine person. So the cool part is all the things I've talked to Bayleigh about doing, being honest, being genuine, being real. Those are things that Jay is, and I love that.
Appreciate it, Jack. Appreciate you. Thanks for coming. Thank you. Appreciate you for sharing.
Thank you.
All right, Bayleigh. Say bye to everybody.
Bye.
Bye, guys.
See y'all.
See ya.